Tell me a little bit about the band history. How'd you guys get started?
Well, Brian and I came from Detroit, and we were in a band in Detroit, and we put flyers around town looking for other band members, and came across Joelle's flyer and gave her a call, and then a couple months later, Chris stumbled into the mix.
What about your name, Octane? How'd you guys come up with that?
Oh boy. Actually, I think we for weeks and weeks and weeks, we each came in with about 50 names, and we were trying to decide what to use, and we couldn't agree on anything. And finally one night at dinner, we were just sitting there, and Ed says, well, what about Octane? And we all looked at each other, we're like, oh, all right. It wasn't like a name that we really liked, nor like no one hated. So we thought, well, all right, it'll grow on us, and it has. I like it more now than I liked it in the beginning, so.
Ed and Brian are from Detroit, which is much different than Buffalo and the music scene here. So you want to tell us a little bit about how that scene differs in Detroit from Buffalo?
I think the music scene in Buffalo is a little bit friendlier. It was a lot, the bars in Detroit were a little more hostile in dealing with new bands. The bars in Buffalo actually have been, you know, not to just schmooze Buffalo, but they've been very receptive to a new band, and the crowds in Buffalo seem to be receptive to local music much more so. And I think there's a lot more national acts going through Detroit, and we'd be playing in a bar for $5, and then up the street you'd have you know, Lush or House of Pain or somebody playing for $8, and you know, stiffer competition. But the music scene in Buffalo just is generally, I think, a lot friendlier and supportive.
On my way to help out a friend. Thoughts right inside my head. What's my purpose and why am I here? In which direction should my face there? Shift to the right, the carcass in my path.
Starting to move a little more towards the hardcore, harder songs are starting to become my favorites. It's Brian jumping up and down. The last time we played out, we played Merlin's in car number 3. It just got me like pumped up, you know. So.
Well, speaking of car number 3, there's an interesting story behind that song. Would you guys like to tell me about that?
Well, actually, I was going to visit a friend, so I was on the 90 and I was driving, and it's actually a song about a real sort of car accident. I was car number 3, get the title there, and I was the only car in the 7-car crash or whatever that you want to say that didn't get hit. I didn't hit anyone else and nothing, and it was just kind of like this song where I kind of wrote about fate and how you really don't know what your purpose is in life, and I made it really deep. Like, obviously I didn't get hit and I didn't get killed and whatever because I haven't reached my purpose and haven't done what I was put here to do, and so it's just kind of like that. Nothing like real divine or anything, but just like just thinking about, you know,
at church steps at the time.
Yeah.
We did play acoustically at the Coffee Bean Cafe. Boy, that was so much work because at least my parts were all written for, you know, distortion and a lot of noise, a lot of effects, you know. And so then I had to switch over and play an acoustic guitar, and Ed was playing upright bass, and Chris went out and got some congas or bongos or whatever those are. That took so long. It took us like a month just to rework all the songs. I don't know, very trying. We can play in Buffalo, we can play anywhere.